Okay, YouTubers, this is The Angry Prepper. So today's video, we're going to talk about DHS starting a disinformation governance board. And it sounds exactly what it means, guys. It sounds like some fucking authoritism, branch of the government, which I know that a lot of the government branches are like that or operate like that and try to appear like they're not, but they do. Different story altogether. But the Biden administration, rather, or the DHS, came up with this disinformation governance board because of all the disinformation or misinformation that's going on about, for example, the Russia-Ukraine war. And believe it or not, one of their focus is immigration. So the main focus of this office is to worry about the Ukraine-Russia BS and the immigration BS. So the reason for this disinformation governance board is to get rid of misinformation or disinformation. Again, I find it very weird because now this is definitely, guys, you're treading on First Amendment or sorry, free speech, and you're walking this line. And listen, even though the government and different companies out there have already crossed that line of free speech and trying to get rid of it or shaming you for it or whatever your thought process is, they want you to get rid of it. This kind of office, if you will, or board, this is the way they call it, is very dangerous because they're legitimately now walking that line. And they want people to get the right information. But what is the right information? What the government says or what a third-party news source? Now, granted, guys, we cannot pretend that even right-leaning and conservatives don't lie about shit or they don't embellish shit, right? I was actually watching a video. It was a Matt Walsh video, and something that Biden said about kids, belonging to the teachers and things like that, and again, it was a bullshit speech. Listening to Matt Walsh, he embellished and or exaggerated a lot of what was said. Okay, so with that being said, guys, we see the right and conservatives talking the same bullshit as liberals. They're stretching the truth. Both sides are. So now, where do we stand with that? We have to stand in the middle. But if you have a governance board coming out telling you that this is fake, that is fake, this is fake, well, how the fuck do you believe them? Because the government constantly lies to us. So at what point do we just say, fuck this, we're not listening to anything? Now, again, their main focus, guys, is the Russia-Ukraine war and the whole border crisis. So they're trying to pull back on the disinformation or misinformation that's being spread through the social media and the two topics that they're focused on. So immigration, for example, they want to get to the Spanish community and make them, they didn't get into depth as to what they were going to say, so I'm assuming this part. They want to get to the Spanish community so that they stop spreading lies about the human trafficking part of them coming here. So again, though it's been seen, it's been spoken about, there are people who have fucking crossed the borders and said, listen, I saw this or I experienced that. They want to stop that information from coming out. That's what I'm gathering out of this, because the human trafficking thing is a real deal for those who come from Mexico or down south, if you will, up here to the United States. There are women who are getting raped and, if not killed, trying to get here because they're running with a band of dudes. So how's that disinformation? They didn't exactly say what they were going to tackle, but they said the border crisis, misinformation is a problem. What's the misinformation? The fact that the border's wide open and it's fucking bleeding Mexicans or South and Central Americans coming in? Or the fact that these women and kids who are going through this shit are actually being fucking mistreated and mishandled by the coyotes that fucking bring them here? So what part is misinformation? They didn't exactly clarify that. Then as far as the Russian-Ukraine war goes, they want to get rid of misinformation that's coming from Russia. Now, yes, granted, guys, you know what I feel about Russia. Russia is the #1 lie factory. They've lied their entire time since I can remember following Russia as a kid. They lied about everything. They over-embellish everything. They posture more than any other country on this planet. Well, probably not as bad as North Korea postures, but nonetheless, they still posture. So the problem is, guys, the misinformation that's coming from Russia is real. It's out there. right? NY Prepper actually put out a good video on how they misrepresent their weapons of mass destruction and that they're using that as a ploy to scare the American people and to scare the American government. With that, guys, and listen, I wholeheartedly believe it because a lot of their technology is just talk, right? And then some of the stuff that they that they tested out works, doesn't work. How do we fucking know? Russia lies about so much, guys. They kept their COVID numbers close to the vest. We didn't know what the fuck was going on in Russia during the whole COVID. But now all of a sudden we know everything there is to know about their weaponry. Does that make any sense? So with that, guys, Russia lies a lot. And yes, I know the United States lies a lot as well. They lie to us all the time. They lie to us through a whole fucking pandemic. We know they lie. So again, who do you believe? Now, I'm not going to believe anything that comes out of Russia. Shit, if Putin was on fire, I still wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, that's special effects, right? If Joe Biden was on fucking fire, I'd be like, they're lying just to get him some more fucking voting points for his next election, if he even runs. So again, who do you believe? This is the problem. This is the boat that we, people who stand in the middle or have common sense, this is the boat we're in. Because we're like, who the fuck is, what's what and what's not, right? Unfortunately, guys, when it comes to the whole nuclear threat, the only way we're going to believe that's going to happen, or at least I'm going to believe that's going to happen, is when it happens. And then I'll be like, okay, this dude's talking, he's straight shooting it. Other than that, I think he's posturing. North Korea's postured fucking the entire, last 10 years? They're like, we're going to launch a nuke, and then they don't. So everybody has a fucking, a big swinging dick, but no one's ready to fucking use it yet. Because I think everybody knows the outcome if such weapons are used. Our government coming up with this disinformation board is a bad thing. Because if you thought our freedom of speech was being trampled on now, that's going to get out of control if they get their hooks into social media. Now, some of you are going to be like, oh, they have their hooks in them. They do, but not as badly as I think this is going to turn out. I think this is going to be super bad. And I think that anybody that speaks anything, whether it's true or not, is going to get banned. I think YouTube is probably going to sink if this actually this grows into something. Because if this grows into something, guys, that means every video that mentions just the word Russia, Ukraine, COVID is probably going to get fucking banned. Just for mentioning it. Never mind, maybe you were talking in favor of the armed ticket, or you were talking in favor of the Ukraine people or president. Just because you mention it, it could fucking 86 your channel. Could, I don't know. This is also how, guys, you get to that one state media. This is exactly how you get to it. You start fucking boards and offices like this, and then they go, well, there's too much misinformation out there. We're going to have to start our own media channel, and people are going to listen to this and this only. This is how you get there, and we're already starting it. Something to think about. I mean, I could be fucking conspiracy theorying the shit out of this, and maybe I threw too far. I don't know. But it just sounds a little odd to me that they're doing the same shit that Russia has done for years. Hitler did back in the fucking, during his Reich, and China does. It's the same shit, guys. Anyway, other than that, this is The Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel.